Hey guys, so I don't go live very often on this page here, but I'm gonna change that, okay? Because I want to connect with you guys more. I want you to feel like you can get to know me more, and I want to feel like I can get to know you more, okay? So I'm gonna start doing a few more live sessions in this page because I have a lot to share with you and I have a lot to teach you, okay? And today I really want to talk with you about 3 very specific strategies and tips that you can use for combating a negative body image. This happens to be the topic of the week on the podcast episode, so I'm just going to give you kind of a preview of what we'll be talking about on the podcast episode this week to kind of get you excited, because I'm going to share 3 tips right now, but on the episode we're going to go through 9 tips, okay? So listen, I want you, whether you're live or you're watching a replay, I want you to type into the comments an emoji that describes the way you feel about your body, okay? This could be a happy face, it could be a contented face, it could be an angry face, sad, maybe confused, okay? But I want you to really honestly think about it. What word or what emotion describes the way you honestly feel about your body? Okay, usually for most of us women, the first thought that comes to mind is probably on the negative side. We're so used to saying, I like this, but, whether that thing that's preventing us from liking ourselves wholly is maybe something about the way that we look or something about the way that our body operates, usually there's something kind of negative in there about the way we feel about our body. So what would it take for us to get to the point where we actually like our body? And I will tell you that that point is not finally reaching your goals. Because sometimes we think that that's what it will take. When I finally reach my goals, when I finally lose the weight I've been trying to, when I finally accomplish this, then I will like my body. And let me tell you, it doesn't work that way, okay? So I'm going to give you 3 kind of mindset shifts right now that will help you combat those constant negative thoughts that creep into your brain on a really, really regular basis, okay? And the first one is that you need to start by implanting words of truth into your brain and into your heart, okay? So when we're constantly thinking of negative things, it's so important that you have pieces of truth that are already in there. What does God say about you? What does He say about your body? He says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. So even if you don't believe that for yourself, the God of the universe is saying that about you. That is a piece of truth that you cannot deny. Okay, another thing that God says about you is that you are chosen and that you have a purpose and a plan. And another thing He says is that you are His child and you are His heir. That's incredible. That's pretty darn awesome, okay? So those are pieces of truth that you can implant into your brain when you feel like your negative thoughts are just running wild. You can latch onto those small pieces of truth and say, hey, no. This is what's real. That is a lie, okay? Another thing that I want you to practice, another tip or strategy that I want you to work on when you're getting negative thoughts about your own body, and this is going to be a good one, I want you to recognize when you're thinking about yourself too much. This is usually what's happening. We are self-obsessed. We are thinking too much about our bodies. It's occupying our minds and our thoughts. And because of that, we're not able to really look outside of ourselves. We're not able to look around us. We're not able to look up towards God. We are too self-absorbed, okay? So one mindset shift that you can take to stop dwelling and just obsessing about those negative thoughts that you have about your body is recognize when you're thinking about yourself too much. Who was it? I think it was C.S. Lewis that said, true humility is thinking about yourself less, not thinking less about yourself, okay? It's not saying, oh, woe is me. Like, that's not true humility. You're sitting there in this self-loathing state of mind rather than opening up and saying like, I'm not going to dwell on myself so much. I'm going to start turning my attention outward and thinking about other people more than all these hundreds of thoughts that go through my day about my body. Okay? So recognize when you're thinking about yourself less. The third strategy I want to give you is I want you to start complimenting other people more. And this is kind of a hard one because this goes back to getting our eyes off of ourselves and realizing that we're focusing too hard on ourselves. I remember when I was the most self-critical about my own body, I also was extremely critical and judgmental about other people. I could look at someone and be like, oh, I bet she doesn't like that about herself, or oh, I bet they don't like that about herself. Like I was just extremely critical in every way. So I want you to start to practice being very complimentary to other people. Start thinking about other people more, okay? And that's going to be hard to do. But honestly, the more that you lift up, encourage, and compliment other people and push those positive thoughts and attitudes and mental mindsets on other people, the more you're going to absorb it yourself, okay? So those are 3 strategies I want you to work on. If you feel like you're constantly battling negative thoughts, please work on those. Remember, the first one was implanting pieces of truth in your mind. Make those your manifestos, your mantras, something that you can cling to constantly. The second one is recognizing when you're thinking about yourself too much. And the third one is practice complimenting other people. It's going to have an effect on the way that you think about your body and the way that you can love your body too. Okay? So make sure to stay tuned for the podcast episode this week, you guys. I just gave you 3 strategies on the podcast, which I'm going to try to release tonight. I'm going to give you 9, okay? And we're going to talk about there's actually 3 different ways or 3 different lines of thought that are negative that might not have anything to do about the way your body looks. Could have something to do with totally different. So you're not going to want to miss this week's podcast episode. It's super good. And hey, listen, if you guys are not on my newsletter list, I'm going to put a link in the comments below so that you can sign up for my newsletter list. And the reason I want you to do that is because you get all the extra tips and the show notes in that newsletter or in that email, and it's a good reminder when a podcast episode is released. It kind of keeps you in the know. And every once in a while, I also throw in extra stuff for you too, whether it's like a recipe or maybe a Bible verse to think about. Every so often I toss in some new stuff, okay? So in the comments below, I am going to put a link to where you can sign up for my newsletter, and keep an eye out for the podcast this week. Now listen, I promised I was going to do more live sessions with you guys, so meet me back here on Thursday, same time. I'm going to go live with you at 1 o'clock on Thursday. That's Pacific time. I'm an Oregon girl, okay? So come back here live on Thursday at 1 o'clock, and I will see you then.